Heinz Field, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Heinz Field has become a punchline among NFL kickers, and for good reason. Sitting right at the confluence of the Allegheny and Monongahela rivers, the wind here doesn't just blow. It lies, it swirls, it shifts direction mid-kick. A ball that should split the uprights by 10 yards suddenly curves like a banana, and the kicker is left standing there with no explanation and no excuses. But the wind is only half the story. That Kentucky bluegrass looks gorgeous in September. Come winter, it's a completely different field. The cold and rain strip it down fast, turning pristine turf into soggy, uneven, mud patch chaos. In 2007, this stadium hosted what people still call the Mud Bowl, a Monday night football game against the Miami Dolphins, so visually chaotic that the ball stopped dead on a punt and never rolled. Players described it as running through ankle-deep mud for 3 hours. The Steelers won 3-0. The entire scoring output of the game was a single 24-yard field goal with 17 seconds left. Coaches couldn't read the field. Officials were guessing. After the game, the NFL Players Association filed complaints and the league mandated contingency plans for adverse weather games. Pittsburgh was told never to schedule a home game on that November weekend again. Now put that on Super Bowl Sunday. Billions watching, game on the line. A kicker steps up for the deciding field goal, and a rogue river wind sends it 6 feet wide. The NFL isn't taking that chance. Not now, not ever. 2. Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City, Missouri. Arrowhead Stadium holds a Guinness World Record, and not for anything warm or welcoming. On September 29, 2014, Chiefs fans pushed crowd noise to 142.2 decibels against the New England Patriots. That is louder than a jet engine at full thrust, an actual aircraft taking off clocks in around 140. Kansas City fans beat it. Guinness had an official adjudicator on site to confirm it. Let that sink in for a second. During a regular season game, that noise is electric. It's one of the most intimidating environments in all of professional sports, and opposing offenses dread it. But the Super Bowl isn't a regular season game. It's a corporate spectacle as much as it is a sporting event. Sponsors, executives, celebrities, and casual fans who drop thousands on their tickets. These people want to have a conversation. They want to hear the halftime show. At Arrowhead, the stadium's steep seating decks and enclosed bowl design trap and amplify sound so effectively that a normal exchange between two people becomes nearly impossible when the crowd gets going. For die-hard fans, that's the whole point. For the Super Bowl, it's a deal breaker. Then there's the weather. And here's where the story gets genuinely painful for Chiefs fans, because Kansas City actually came agonizingly close. In 2005, NFL owners voted to award Kansas City Super Bowl 49, but with one condition. The city had to build a rolling roof that would slide between Arrowhead and the adjacent Kauffman Stadium. Voters went to the polls in April 2006 to approve the $170 million funding. They said no. The bid was pulled. The game went to Arizona instead. One vote stood between Chiefs' kingdom and the Super Bowl they had earned. February in Kansas City regularly hits 25 degrees below zero with wind chill. And without that roof, the NFL's climate mandate makes Arrowhead a permanent non-starter. Trechy First Energy Stadium, Cleveland, Ohio. Browns fans will tell you their stadium is as real and tough as the city itself. And they're right. But real and tough is not what the NFL is selling on Super Bowl Sunday. First Energy Stadium sits directly on the shore of Lake Erie. And if you know anything about lake effect weather, you know exactly what that means. Snowstorms that materialize out of nowhere. Storms that dump feet of snow in hours, not days. Picture yard markers buried under a blanket of white. Hash marks are completely invisible. Players are genuinely unable to identify the sideline boundary because it's under 6 inches of snow. This isn't hypothetical. It has happened at this very stadium during regular season games. Officials struggled. Coaches lost their footing. Now multiply those stakes by 1,000. Because it's the Super Bowl, and every yard line, every boundary, every call carries the weight of the entire season. And the problems go beyond the weather. The NFL requires tens of thousands of hotel rooms within an hour's drive of any host stadium. Cleveland's downtown hotel infrastructure simply cannot meet that threshold. The city has made real progress rebuilding its core over the years, but the hospitality ecosystem that a Super Bowl week demands just isn't there yet. Tough city, great fans, wrong venue. Ford Field, Detroit, Michigan. Here's the twist. Ford Field actually has a roof, and Detroit has already used it. The city hosted Super Bowl 40 in 2006, and by most accounts it worked. So why hasn't the NFL been back in nearly 2 decades? Because a stadium is only as good as the city built around it, and this is where Detroit runs into a problem that a roof can't fix. The Super Bowl isn't one game. It's a week-long economic machine that requires a fully functioning city to back it up. Entertainment districts, luxury hotels, convention spaces, nightlife, transportation infrastructure, all of it needs to be operating at peak capacity to absorb the hundreds of thousands of fans, media personnel, and corporate partners who travel in for the event. Detroit's downtown has historically lacked the density of options. 5. TIAA Bank Field, Jacksonville, Florida. Jacksonville already tried this. Super Bowl 39, February 6, 2005. And the city learned a lesson it hasn't fully recovered from since. There weren't enough hotel rooms, not even close. Jacksonville didn't have a single hotel with the 750 rooms the NFL required as a minimum. The solution? 7 cruise ships docked along the St. Johns River, providing roughly 3,617 rooms at a cost of $11.7 million to the host committee. On game day, a pipe burst inside the stadium. Overflowing toilets, 800 buses shuttling fans back and forth across the city. The smallest metropolitan area to ever host a Super Bowl had pulled off the impossible, but just barely, and everyone knew it. 20 years later, the hotel stock still hasn't caught up to what a modern Super Bowl demands. The downtown entertainment infrastructure is still thin. The city and the Jaguars have discussed a $700 million development around the stadium that could theoretically change the math. But until that's built and proven, Jacksonville remains on the outside looking in. The stadium itself compounds the problem. TIAA Bank Field lacks the high-end luxury suites and premium amenities the NFL now treats as baseline requirements. The league has raised the bar dramatically since 2005. Jacksonville, for all its Florida sunshine, hasn't kept pace. 6. Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Lambeau Field is one of the most sacred venues in American sports. The frozen tundra, the Packers' legacy. Decades of history are baked into every brick. Nobody is disputing any of that. But here's the cold, hard truth, and we mean cold. Green Bay is not a Super Bowl city, and it almost certainly never will be. Start with the numbers. The NFL requires approximately 25,000 to 30,000 hotel rooms within an hour's drive of the host stadium. The entire greater Green Bay area has somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 total. To make up the gap, organizers would have to pull rooms from Milwaukee and Madison, both nearly 2 hours away. In a Wisconsin February, a single ice storm on Interstate 43 could sever that connection entirely, stranding thousands of fans and VIPs with no path to the stadium. The NFL also requires 35,000 parking spaces, 3 top-quality 18-hole golf courses nearby, and seats that are 19 inches wide with back support. Lambeau's iconic aluminum bleachers fail that last requirement on their own. No convention space, no entertainment district, no nightlife infrastructure capable of absorbing a week-long invasion of hundreds of thousands of visitors. And then there's February in Green Bay. Average high of 27 degrees Fahrenheit. The NFL's climate mandate requires either a dome or a host city, averaging above 50 degrees on game week. Green Bay doesn't come close to either. The frozen tundra nickname carries romance during a January playoff game. During Super Bowl week, when fans are flying in from Miami, Los Angeles, and London, with no concept of what 20 below feels like, it becomes a logistical disaster with no elegant solution. Lambeau deserves every ounce of its legendary status, but the Super Bowl isn't about history or heart. It's about infrastructure, hospitality, and spectacle. On every one of those measures, Green Bay simply cannot compete. 7. Soldier Field, Chicago, Illinois. Here's one that should make no sense on paper. Chicago, third largest city in America, one of the most recognizable skylines in the world. World-class hotels, restaurants, nightlife, and transportation. A city that by every measure should be a Super Bowl destination. And yet Chicago has never hosted a Super Bowl, not once in the game's entire history. The reason comes down to one number: 61,500. That is Soldier Field's current seating capacity, the smallest of any stadium in the entire NFL. The league's minimum requirement to host a Super Bowl is 65,000 seats. And Soldier Field doesn't just fall short, it isn't even in the conversation. To make matters worse, the stadium's design leaves almost no room for expansion. There's no open end zone where temporary seating could be added. The structure simply cannot grow to meet the threshold, and short of demolishing and rebuilding it, that won't change. What makes this particularly painful is the money already spent trying to fix it. In 2003, Chicago completed a $690 million renovation of Soldier Field. 6 legendary stadiums, 6 reasons the Super Bowl will never come to town. Whether it's the weather, the noise, the hotel rooms, or the city around it, the biggest game in the world demands a very specific kind of stage, and not every icon makes the cut. If you want to see which cities are lined up for future Super Bowls, drop a comment below and we'll break it down in the next one. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you there.